I love looking into the heart of Jesus. Like, I love it. And you ought to let your Christianity be centered around that kind of a thought. That's one of the thoughts you want your Christianity to be centered around. And if you never heard it like that, just start asking God, I want to see into the heart of Jesus. Right? Because we used to make those bracelets, what would Jesus do? Forget about that. What did Jesus believe? Because if you find the same thing he believes born in you, you'll find the same life coming out of you. So we try to do things the hard way. Any of you ever tried to do things the hard way? I'm the king of trying to do things the hard way. And I promise you, the hardest thing you could ever try to do is to try to do the life of God. Do you think you can be God? How many of you think you can create the whole universe? My goodness, I can't even keep this body from feeling sore every morning when I wake up. How am I going to be God? I mean, I was just telling Becky, my lower back is killing me right now. And I think it's because the way I was laying out in the sun when I was in Myrtle Beach, I think I was somehow leaning on that chair wrong, and now my back's killing me. Right? So I can't even get it right for this 47-year-old body not to feel achy when I wake up in the morning. How do you think I'm going to get it right to produce God or the life of God? And so we say, what would Jesus do? That's like saying, what would God do? Now you go do what God would do. If we could do what God could do, we wouldn't need God. We just wouldn't need God if we could do what God would do. So forget about what would God do. Forget about what would Jesus do. The question is, what does Jesus believe? How did Jesus view life? And so I love looking into the heart of Jesus. I love talking about the faith that's in his heart. There is so much beauty in seeing life through the heart of Jesus. There's so much beauty in seeing life through the heart of Jesus. And one of the main reasons why God poured out the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of the Son, into us, is so we could see into the heart of Jesus. Jesus even said, there's another one coming after me, right? That he will be like me, and he's going to guide you into whatsoever things are revealed in me. And do you know what was revealed in Jesus? The faith that was in his heart. We spend so much time looking at what Jesus did outwardly that we completely miss what was in his heart. And we don't spend any time thinking about what did this dude believe when he walked through the earth. And talking with God about that. Lord, help me see into the heart of Jesus. Help me see into his faith. The grace that we all desire for our life. You know what grace is? Grace is the strength of God. You think you'd be okay if you have the strength of God? You think you'd be all right in this world if you were animated with God himself? The strength of God, the grace we all long for, the grace that we all desire for our lives, man, that grace is found in seeing life through the heart of Jesus. That's where it's found. We spend so much time examining so many things, doing so many things, finding so many things, looking for so many things, and we completely neglect the one thing, which is to be able to see into the heart of Jesus, because the strength of God is actually contained in the heart of Jesus. That's where it's found, right? Man, I wish somebody would have told me that when I was like 3 years old. Maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 25. Maybe, do you see all the years that have gone by in my life without somebody just confronting me with that simple thing? What did Jesus believe? How about you start talking with God about what was in Jesus' heart? Because I promise you, the life you see coming out of Jesus, none of us find fault with the life that came out of Jesus. In fact, all of us say that's a beautiful life. Well, out of the heart flow the issues of life. So if there's something beautiful about the life of Jesus, if there's something strong about the life of Jesus, if there's something about the life of Jesus that can endure all things, that can hope all things, that can believe all things, that can love in all things, do you know where it came from? It came from the faith that was in his heart. And so if we start inquiring with God about that, that would be the answer to everything. Ephesians chapter 2 comes and says that we are God's workmanship. And do you know what it says that he does? It says that he comes to form within us the life of Christ. And the way he forms within us the very life of Jesus is through the faith that came in Jesus, through the faith that was revealed in Jesus. That's how he forms his life in us. And so we ought to be coming together and talking about, what did Jesus see? What did Jesus believe? In all sorts of different situations, but I promise you, one of the most powerful things to start talking with God about when you're thinking of what did Jesus believe is, what did Jesus believe when he was being nailed to a cross? What was in his heart as he was being nailed to a cross? How did he perceive that? because there was a grace that came alive in him to be able to endure that. There was even a love that came alive in him when that kind of a thing happened, where he didn't return evil for evil, where he actually gave good for evil. Where we start thinking about this kind of a thing, right? That's sitting at the feet of Jesus. Sitting at the feet of Jesus isn't, well, let's put a hologram of Jesus up on the wall now. You can get holograms of people, right? You know, you can watch a Tupac concert from a hologram. And Tupac is up there getting down. And the real Snoop Dogg is there, right? Because he hasn't passed away, but Tupac isn't around anymore. And they got a hologram of Tupac and Snoop performing songs together. That's crazy. So sitting at the feet of Jesus isn't about how I'm going to get a hologram right here and it's going to be Jesus and now I'm going to go sit over there. Sitting at the feet of Jesus is talking about what was the faith that was in his heart. And now let our conversation be around that and considering that and talking with God about that and unveiling that, right? That's what it means. That's why it says Jesus came full of grace and truth. The truth that was revealed in Jesus is full of grace. So what's the truth that was revealed in Jesus? What's the truth that was in his heart? Jesus even come and said, I am the truth that is the way unto life. How many of you in here want life? Everybody wants life. Okay, well, he told us there's a truth inside of him. There's a faith in his heart. There's a belief in his heart. There's a way that he saw life that will produce life in you. Right? How hard is that, talking to him about that? What did you believe, man? What did you see? How did you see these things? Right? And so in light of all that and how God, we're his workmanship, that means he's taken it upon himself to produce his life in you. He hasn't told you to produce his life in you. He's taken it upon himself to produce his life in you. And his strength, his grace to be able to do that is found in the faith that was in the Son of God's heart as he walked this earth. Right?